Well, our very special guest on Absolutely Famous this morning is former Zimbabwe Test cricket batsman Murray Goodwin. Murray flies very much under the radar historically, but his record in Test cricket is right up there with the very best. Murray played 19 Tests for Zimbabwe, scoring 3 Test hundreds and 8 half-centuries. And I think in your last Test, Murray, 148 not out against England. Fantastic career. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was nice to, well, I didn't want it to finish then, but it was just the way that things worked out, and it was nice to obviously do well in England, which helped get my name out there regarding county opportunities.
Yeah, just tell us about your Test cricket. I mean, you started, I think your debut was against Sri Lanka in '98, is that right? And,
Yeah,
and you got 70 in the second innings, I think, and facing Murley. How was that first up?
that was interesting because I'd been brought up on the whacker, and you don't really get to play many sweep shots and against a lot of spin at the whacker. So it was certainly a challenge, and before the game, I knew that obviously Morelli's going to be a handful as well as the other spinners. So I really practiced playing my sweep shots, and yeah, managed to. I was lucky enough to play a bit of hockey, so it came a little bit natural to me. And yeah, first innings I didn't do well. I got out cheaply, and then second innings, yeah, Morelli bowled his ball. I got out. It pitched literally probably 6 inches off the wicket, from the side of the wicket, and bowled me leg stump. I was batting on off stump, and I tried to hit it with the spin through mid wicket, but it went through the gate. It spun dramatically, and I was a little bit shocked at first that it bowled me, because I thought I was covering my stumps, but it would pitch that wide and spun that much. Yeah, it was ridiculous when I saw the replay. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to, I was disappointed I didn't get 100 on debut, but it was nice to have that challenge against Morelli, because he turned out to be, obviously the leading wicket taker.
Yeah, phenomenal. Were you nervous when you went out for that first Test?
Yeah, I was, but I was quietly confident that I'd prepared well, and playing in Sri Lanka, I had actually played in Sri Lanka before when I was with the Cricket Academy. I went on a tour there with Rod Marsh and the Cricket Academy. So I was sort of familiar with the conditions, what I was to expect.
Yeah, so you were born in Zimbabwe, but your main formative years in cricket were in Western Australia in Perth.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
good grounding. Obviously, you were a good back foot player for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, I mean, my grounding I was always a short guy, so the crossbat sort of shots came natural to me, and that sort of just, I suppose, carried on when we came to Australia, and you play a lot of your junior cricket here on hard bouncy, AstroTurf wickets, so that's helped as well.
Now, your biggest Test score, 166 versus Pakistan. That was a pretty good Pakistan side too. But well, they're good now, but they were even better back at that time. You remember that innings?
Yeah, I do. That was in Bulawayo, and I remember Shoaib. It was the first time I'd faced Shoaib, and we watched before they came up to Zimbabwe. They were playing South Africa, and so we watched them on TV. And he was hitting guys like Callis in the head and people like this, and I thought, geez, like this.
This could be interesting.
Fortunately, I had the confidence and believe playing at the whacker where it is fast and bouncy, and you play against a lot of fast bowlers, and I have done in the past. But you still have it in the back of your mind, how quick is this guy? He's hitting Callis, he's hitting, all these guys, Gary Kirsten, on the gloves, and you're going, wow, this guy's got some real pace. And he had a massive run-up, which was quite intimidating as well. And so, to prepare for that test was, it was a real challenge, because I had to get guys to throw balls, of 16 yards to me with the new ball, and virtually said to him, look, try and hit me in the head. and I had to try and sort of get used to it. And then eventually, once I got used to the pace and what I had to do, I started playing some shots.
Were you're sort of a little bit scared when you're going out? You think, geez, I might get sconed here, or you?
Yeah, I was, because invariably with Zimbabwe, I used to bat at 3, and we were in the first 5 overs, we were 1 down. It's just the way it worked out. In my 19 tests, it might have 3 or 4 times where I wasn't in the first 5 overs. And so I was sort of half expecting to be in there early. And yeah, when you see Rashid Latif, the wicketkeeper, standing, just inside the inner circle, it was a long way. And I was nervous, but then when I played that first ball, it was actually a short ball, and it sort of whizzed past my face, and I could actually hear it like go. It was, and then I saw the keeper take it above his head. I thought, wow, pace. But then he bowled me another ball where I went back, and I just sort of left it. It was only sort of like stomach height on the back foot. And then he bowled me a bouncer. And I played that quite comfortably. I just went underneath it, and I thought to myself, well, if that's his quickest ball, most intimidating ball, I should be all right here. And then he followed that bouncer up with a Yorker, and I dug it out. And thought to myself, I'm seeing the whole repertoire here in the first over. And that ended up being the end of the over, actually. And I thought to myself, wow, if he's thrown to me pretty much everything he's going to throw at. Now I just need to have the right shot selection. So it gave me a bit of confidence.
They give you much? Are they quite mouthy, the Parkies, or are they pretty quiet out in the middle?
Sometimes they try and talk their broken English, and they like to swear, and it's nothing like today. Back then, saying, we'll take your effing head off, and stuff like that. Yeah, nothing was really done about it, and whether the umpires weren't understanding their broken English, I don't know, but it doesn't happen like that these days, because they get reprimanded and possibly fined, whereas back then, yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard enough game without trying to sledge back, isn't it, when you're batting against that sort of stuff? Yeah, that's phenomenal. You had a good team. You had some good players in that Zimbabwe team too. The Flower boys, Grant and Andy, they were pretty handy players, and Heath Streak, I think, was in that side.
That's right. We had Henry Longa, we had Guy Whittle, trying to think who else there. We had Dirk Viljoen. I'm not sure if Stuart Carlisle was in the team at that time. I think he made it just after that. We had, I think, Paul Strang, leg spin. Paul or Adam Huckle were the leggies that rotated generally. But yeah, I think, we just had, decent bowlers, but our strength was probably in our batting.
Yeah. So what was it like playing in the Zimbabwe team? Was good camaraderie in the side?
Very good. Yeah. We all well, and there was none of this sort of racism and stuff like that some people might have talked about. We all got along really well, and what we found was that we weren't under the spotlight like all the big teams, like the Australians and Indians and Englands, with the media. So we could fly under the radar, so to speak. So we lived a really good life, because, if we went to a pub, we weren't hassled. People didn't really know who we were, and so it was actually quite good fun.
Yeah. Who were the toughest couple of bowlers you ever faced?
Well, that's a hard one. I mean, I found Murali really tough in, obviously, Sri Lankan conditions. I felt the Pakistanis like Wasim Akram and Waqar Shoaib, these guys, when the ball was reversing, was a real challenge. But it's a real hard one. I'd say that the most accurate, hard to get away fast bowler
Was who's that?
Curtly Ambrose.
Yep.
But the most skillful bowler for me to face was probably Wasim Akram, at pace and bend it both ways. And then Shane Warne was the most skillful spinner, just awesome to face, and he could turn it pretty much on anything. But in Sri Lankan conditions, Morelli would have been the hardest spinner to face.
Yeah.
I train in those conditions. Now, I faced him in a one-dayer in India, but yeah, the pitch wasn't turning as much, and it's a bit in the one-dayer than a test match.
Yeah. You had a marvellous career with Sussex. You broke their scoring record twice with triple centuries. You must have loved every minute of that county career.
Oh, yeah. I only went over there to replace Michael Bevan in the 2001 Ashes. And, fortunately enough, Sussex, when Michael was there the year before in the second division, and were at the bottom of the second division, and Michael Bevan scored, I think, about 1,500 runs for the season. So he had an outstanding year. So it was big shoes to fill. And so I went there in 2001, and I was just expecting to, get my foot in the door, do as well as I could, and then hopefully some other counties might pick me up, because Michael Bevan had another year's on his contract. But I did really well. I think I might have made 1,600 runs for the season, and they classed me as a nicer bloke than Michael Bevan, even though I think Michael's a decent guy. But apparently he had some real clashes with the team, and some of the guys just didn't gel with him. And so they ended up paying him out part of his contract and keeping me. And I ended up staying with Sussex for 12 years, and I loved every moment.
That's a wonderful career. I bet they couldn't believe their luck when you came along and scored all those runs.
Yeah, well, I think so, because I came over on a real. I was probably the cheapest overseas player to play county cricket, but at the end of the day, it wasn't about the money for me. It was about getting my foot in the door, the challenge of county cricket, and seeing how I would handle it. And it was awesome, because you play so much, and as a batter, I didn't really enjoy nets. And so, you'd have a few nets, don't get me wrong, during the season, but when you're playing so much, it's way better than, in the nets.
Absolutely. I think, was it 2 games you scored a double century and a century as well?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think I definitely did in one game. I know that at Trent Bridge, but I can't remember the other one.
Yeah. So your century in your last test, 148 unbeaten. That must have been hugely satisfying, especially at the home of cricket in England.
Well, it was actually at Trent Bridge. We got done in 3 days at Lords. Unfortunately, we lost the toss on a green. Or actually, no, I think we might have won the toss and decided to bat, and it was overcast. And Alistair Campbell, I don't know what he was thinking. But he clearly hadn't played a lot in England, because whenever it's overcast, especially at Lords and Trent Bridge, those 2 grounds, well, most grounds, you definitely bowl first. You definitely. Anyway, the ball was hooping around. We got done in 3.5 days, and then at Trent Bridge, yeah, we played quite good cricket. We were on top there, and rain intervened, and it ended up being a draw. But we were massively on England on the back foot.
Yeah, what a wonderful. Did you realise then it was going to be your last test innings?
No, to score nearly 150 and, be not out, that was awesome. I mean, to write your name on the board and be there in amongst all those great players was a real honour. But it wasn't. I wasn't thinking it was going to be my last Test match. was hoping that things might get rectified with the Zimbabwe Cricket Union and us players, because it was really challenging conditions for us to play in, because I won't get into it, but I'll give you the short thing. Basically, Zimbabwe was earning all their money in foreign currency and paying us in Zimbabwe dollars. So there was a conversion rate there where we were getting absolutely slammed as players. And that money never reached the grassroots of cricket. We don't know where it went. I've got an idea, but I'm not going to mention that on the media.
No.
But I will say that we got exploited big time, and that's the whole reason why I left. And yes, the country, wasn't being run in the way that most countries should. But at the end of the day, it was more the way that the cricket was run, unfortunately. But I believe that things have turned around now, and I'm excited for it, because, I was speaking to Dave Houghton just recently, and he said, things are looking quite good there. So, with a bit of luck, I'm sort of keeping the door open. There might be opportunities to do some batting coaching there and what have you. So.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Well, you're keeping your hand and certainly playing for the Colts Club in Bunbury in senior cricket there, Murray. I had the pleasure of watching you bat the other day, and one thing I did notice how well you did was sweep. Obviously, playing those great spin bowlers, you learnt that art pretty well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just challenging when you're playing against, slow bowlers, slow wickets, slow outfields, whereas when you play at first class level, it's fast outfields. The pitches more and not do come onto the bat. Sometimes you do get slower ones, but yeah, it's and generally faster bowling. But I'm nearly 50 now, and I'm sort of keeping my hand in to try and help some of the youngsters, try and set an example, and just go from there. But yeah, it's a great challenge as a batter, but it's not getting easier as you get older.
No, you got a son, Jaden, doing pretty well over there too.
Yeah, Jaden's going well. He's in the West Australian squad. He's had 2 first-class games. Unfortunately, he made his debut sort of in a couple of games where the wickets were pretty challenging. There was a lot of weather around in Tasmania and Brisbane, and 2 outstanding bowling attacks. And he didn't do as well as he'd liked, unfortunately, and they were challenging, green wickets. But like he said to me, he said, "Dad, I don't mind making my debut on those, because if I can make runs on those, then I should be able to make runs on anything."
Yeah, exactly.
Fortunately, he didn't, but I loved his attitude, that he was, up for the challenge.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of good young talent, even in the Bunbury area.
Yeah, there is, and so it's one of those things where you're just trying to, for myself, you're trying to set an example, and then, help some of the younger guys coming through.
Yeah, well, you're doing that all right, Murray, because the young fellas I know there, they thoroughly look forward to playing against you, because it's a learning experience for them.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Murray, wonderful to talk to you, and once again, congratulations on an amazing career, and we'll put all those stats in the written introduction that I do with your story, and great to talk to you.
Thanks so much, John.
Thanks, Murray.